Brad once again from Red Pines. So what we're going to talk about during this video is basic prepping. We're going to talk about the mindset of preppers. We'll discuss briefly the different types of prepping there are. And the thing I want to focus on today are people who feel that they don't have the budget nor the space for doing any type of prepping. And that's what we're going to focus on today. What I'd like to talk about first are the different types of prepping that you actually have. You have those that prep for the end of the world. You have those that prep for economic shutdown. You have those that prep for their harvest and stocking up for the winter. You have those that might just be prepping for the holidays or maybe an oncoming storm. Or like earlier this year, I think a lot of people found themselves without the bare essentials due to COVID. And they went to the stores and they found the shelves empty. Obviously toilet paper was hard to find, water was hard to find, produce, canned goods, soaps, shampoos were all scarce items earlier this year. So this leads into the mindset of a prepper. You have to understand that when you prep, you're preparing for the times when the shelves are empty and items are hard to get. There might be a brand that you like to use, be it food, soap, deodorant, but when you prep, you want to stock up on items that you can afford and get a lot of. You might have a certain brand soap or deodorant that you like to use. And when these shelves are empty, the dollar store soap and deodorants are going to be just fine. So that's what I basically mean by a mindset. You may not be able to stock up on the items that you're used to buying or the brands you're used to buying, but going to a dollar store or stocking up from some of the other stores that my daughter will talk about will be perfectly fine. This is actually part of a survival mode. This is all part of that mindset. Whether you're a prepper, being a survivalist is part of that mindset. So whether your budget is an extra $1 or $2 when you go shopping, if you can spare an extra $5 or $6 when you go shopping, or if you can spare an extra $100 when you go shopping, you can prep. One of the ways I tell a lot of people when they say they have a tight budget and they don't have enough money is one thing I've told them to do, and I actually do this myself, and go through your basement, go through your garage, go through your attic, sell items you don't need or haven't used in years. Take that money and put it strictly toward prepping. My example would be, I had an industrial air compressor up at Red Pines. I purchased it thinking I was going to use it. I haven't used it in years. In fact, I never used it. So I wound up selling it, and the money I made from that, I went and I bought more items for prepping. So in other words, I'd rather soak my money into food and basic essentials for my family than an air compressor that was sitting in my workshop doing nothing. So that's another way you can make money to prep and kind of get ahead. What I want to do right now is I want to introduce my daughter Lauren, and she's going to talk to you more about what she does to stay within her budget, because we're all on budgets, and some of the things she shops for, and even some of the prices she pays, and the way she stocks up on certain items. So this is my daughter Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about why I prep and what kind of mindset I take. I always thought prepping was a silly term, and I associate it with like zombies and the apocalypse, because I have a family with 2 young girls and a husband, and my life revolves around budgeting. So when I would go to the store, I would shop for a month at a time, typically. So I always felt like I was stocked up. I didn't need anything special or any extra until this last year hit. And, you know, my regular supplies ran out right when COVID hit. and honestly went to the store and freaked out a little bit. There were no diapers that my daughter needed. Her specific formula was out of stock everywhere. So I had minor meltdowns of my own. So I started embracing the prepping lifestyle since then, so that in case of anything, whether it's another pandemic or just a really bad winter happens, I'm set. And so I'm going to talk to you a bit about my ABCs of prepping. And just a side note, I have my notes here. I want to make sure I get to every point that I wanted to make for all of you, so I'm not missing anything. So please excuse me if I do look down at them. But letter A, always check your sales ads. Check the sales apps that they have for your iPhones or your smartphones. For us, our sales change every week. My weekly ads, I know not everyone has the same stores available to them, depending on where you live. I know here I get my Jewel, Aldi, the Dollar Store, I have Sam's Club, Walmart. Those are typically my circle of stores that I'm constantly checking and comparing prices to. If a store offers special deals or a special application, like Jewel offers the My Mix, everyone in your household is allowed to have an account because they all shop. Just this week with our sales, we got 8 pounds of asparagus, 8 boxes of pasta, 8 containers of juice, 6 rolls of toilet paper, and a dozen eggs, all under $10. So always rotate through your papers, see what they're offering, and take advantage of what they're offering. So B, be aware of your budget, be aware of prices, and be realistic about your budget, what you need versus what you want. Budget. Some of you are probably already experts at this. I know I'm constantly learning how to budget. My budget's constantly changing because my girls are young and they're growing, so their needs keep changing on me. But be aware of what your budget is. If you don't have one, form one. Be realistic about what that budget is. Big box stores are great. Costco, Sam's Club, GFS, they always have great deals. But sometimes you can get carried away. Another store, the Dollar Store, I absolutely love it. What's not to like? Everything's $1. However, some of those things are also not really a deal. I can go into their food aisles and see smaller boxes of rice that they're offering for $1 and get, a 72-ounce box of rice at Walmart for $2.47. And letter C, commit and can. All right, commit yourself to the idea of prepping, whether it's going to the store and making sure that whenever you go to the store, you pick up one extra item, at least one extra item. It doesn't matter if it's a can of peas. It doesn't matter if it's a case of soup. Just commit yourself to the idea that today I'm going to spend 50 cents extra on this. Or if you have more to spend, if you have $5 or $6, I'm going to get this case of cream of mushroom soup. So just make sure that you're in a mindset where this is what I'm going to do. This is what I need to do right now, for whatever reasons you have. Also, you need to commit to making space in your home. You can make space anywhere. I think the best thing about this channel is we're talking about prepping and homesteading no matter what your budget, what size house you have. If you live in a condo, an apartment, or on a giant farm, you can do this. And like just this week, we were doing lots of canning and I ran out of space. So I had to look around in my kitchen and I thought, what can I minimalize? What do I use? What do I not use? And that can go for any room in your house. I have a bunch of wine glasses that we got from our wedding. And I've never used more than probably 4 or 5 at a time when I have people over. So I packed up all the extras. I left 4 in the cabinet, and now I have a huge amount of space in one of my upper cabinets to put any extra cans or any goods that might not be going out to the garage. Commit to that idea. And canning. If you've never tried it, try it. It's not as intimidating as it might seem. Do simple things like, jellies and jams. You can do that in a water canner, or do something in a pressure canner. There's a video on this channel that does touch on that. Maybe we'll explore more videos in terms of actually watching us do a process if that's requested. So just by canning, you're able to use a lot of extra things in your house. For example, I'm making chicken gyros. Those were on the menu. Got a rotisserie chicken. I don't want any of that to go to waste. I'm using the carcass of the chicken to make chicken broth. I have 2 bags of frozen vegetable scraps in my freezer. Sorry, there's bugs. So tonight, after I get done making the chicken gyros and cleaning up, making homemade chicken broth. And I really didn't put out any extra money. I didn't break my budget to do that, and I will have probably about 6 quarts of fresh chicken broth, homemade. I know what went into it, and I didn't have to pay for that in the store. So I've gone through my ABCs. I'm going to skip all the way down to F for final thoughts. So I forgot to mention earlier when I was going through all the stores, in the summer, utilize the local garage sales. Utilize your Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, any of those shopping sites to find storage space. We scored a couple industrial shelves. We got 2 of them for $50. They typically run about $180 in the stores. So we got a great deal on those. We got between 60 and 70 canning jars for just under $30. So these are all really great deals if you're gonna, like I said, commit to this. Always keep your eyes open for those kinds of deals. Also, don't be picky. I make everything from scratch. I buy everything organic. I have on my phone a list of Monsanto companies that I refuse to buy from. When it comes to prepping, you have to be willing to set some of that aside. My stockpile, or whatever my prep pile, if you will, is not always gonna have 100% organic stuff in it. I might have an off-brand. I might have a brand I'm not usually used to buying. But when it comes down to it's 10 below, it's freezing out, my car won't start, I got 2 crabby kids, I'm gonna open a jar of SpaghettiOs instead of trying to make some pasta from scratch. You just have to be willing to do that. So go out there, have fun, and start your prepping journey.